Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for everybody to be here. Hattie, can we start with our first poll so we can get to know who is going to be joining us, hopefully the next 6 months on this? So we're going to do a couple polls so we can kind of get to know you guys. And then don't worry, Lena and I will introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about what we're doing. But Hattie, oh, is it up and I just can't see it because I'm the host? Yeah. Oh, here we go. All right. Who here is in PC coaching? Hillary, Mary, Stephanie, is it Kaylin? Shank 20, I don't know. Hello.
Oh yeah, Hattie, do we want everybody to put their market centers in front of their name for the breakout?
Yes, please.
While you guys are answering the poll, Lena or Hattie, do you guys want to tell them what you want them to do?
Yeah, so Hattie's going to send everybody to breakout rooms in about an hour. So if you can change your name to include your market center in front of your name. So if you hover over your picture in the top right, there's the three little dots. Click on that and just click rename. And then you can put, Hattie, do you want them to put the market center number or just say like Kirkland and then their name?
Yeah, like Kirkland, and then the name would be easier because some people may not know.
Okay.
All right, so thank you. Okay, so we have so far about 28% are in PC coaching and 72 aren't. That's great. Let's go on to the next polling question, Hattie. That's the results of that one. All right, so Hattie, what's the next polling question? Oh, perfect. How many of you guys are on a team or individual agents? This is fun. I always like watching these polls in real time. Okay. So we have, okay. All right. So we've got, give or take, I stopped it pretty quick to just get a quick idea. 22% Lena are on a team and about 78% are not.
What were the results from the second question? The how long have you been in real estate?
We haven't done that one yet, have we?
Oh, it popped up for like a second, I thought, on my screen.
I don't think so. Let's do that one next, though. There we go. How long have you been in real estate? Oh, we've got some 10 plus years. Love it. A lot of 0 to 3 months and 3 to 6 months. That's awesome. Love that. If Alicia Brown's on here, she's probably doing this too.
Oh yeah, I'm clapping. I'm here.
And it's snowing in your background.
Guys, look.
Let me see. Oh my gosh. I heard the South End was going to get, wow.
Oh, where's the snow? I'm in Everett. I don't have anything.
I know, we don't have snow in Kirkland that I can see.
It's
the South End's getting it the worst.
It snowed earlier at our office, Via.
Oh, it did? I just couldn't see
for
it.
like 5 seconds.
Oh, okay, so this is a really good, I'm so excited about. Almost 50% of you, 0 to 3 months makes me very happy. But if you add that, Lena, 48 plus 18, the majority are 0 to 6 months. And you add 9% to that, math, 27 plus 48, 58, 68, 78. Good 75% of you have been in the business 0 to 12 months, which is perfect.
So perfect for this.
I'm so happy about this. So happy about that. Okay, and then do we just have one more? Is that right, Hattie? One more poll. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I love somebody's in Tennessee and somebody in Texas is on here.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, have you written a contract yet? How many people here have written a contract? Oh, good. Can you guys see this? You can see it, yeah. So 40 have, 60 haven't. This is beautiful. So perfect. All right. That is a very, very good representation for this. That's great. Well, My name is Bea Williams, for those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, and I've been in real estate for about 20 years. I'm a second generation realtor. My father has been in real estate since I was a young girl, so which was years ago, sadly. And I started off as an individual agent and then formed a team in 2013, right at the end of 2013 into 2014, and grew up pretty big. When I came to Keller Williams in 2011, I think it was December, somewhere around there, I had done 9.6 million the year before. Sorry, scratch that. I did 9.6 million the year I got to Keller Williams. And then I started a team the following year and did 25 million that year. And then the next year did 36 million, 48 million. And I peaked out at about 70 million. And in my world, that was about 130 units because I'm based in Kirkland and, we have expensive real estate here. And made the move to come work for Ben Kinney. And I now help lead our brokerages. I'm the general manager of our 8 Keller Williams market centers that we have here, from Bellingham to Olympia. I'm on the operating committee of our mortgage, title, and escrow arm. And I also still sell real estate. I'm involved with another company called Amplify, and I have a national podcast called Empire Building. So I'm involved in 11 different entities at last count, but my primary role is as GM of all of our brokerages. So we have 8 Keller Williams franchises, as most of you guys know. It's about 11 different physical offices, and each office has a team leader. And Lena is the team leader of our Kirkland office. And I'm going to let Lena introduce herself. And then we're going to talk about why we're here and what L3 is and how excited we are for it.
Yeah, thank you, Via. You guys for sure tune into her podcast too. It is by far one of my favorite podcasts. I listen to it all the time. But my name's Lena. Like she said, I run the Kirkland Market Center. I have been the team leader there for 2 years now. And when I started real estate, I was on a team, then I did coaching for a little bit, and then have just been solo ever since. And I wish that I had classes like this when I started. Yeah. I think that's why we kind of have put this together. Right, Via, because we just want to give as much value, of course, but answer all the questions that you have about getting into the business and what to do to launch your career right away.
Yeah, so how this class stemmed is Lena and I have been talking a while. A lot of us have been talking a while about the fact we have one of the best productivity coaching programs in the nation, by the way, here at BKCO. It's stellar. We have the best designated brokers, I think, out of any other Keller Williams system in the nation. And I really mean it. Our brokers are really, really good. I know all of them. They all have years and years into this, every single one of them. And yet there's this element of training that can really only come from mega agents who have been there, done that. And so when I had my team, we used to do, I used to train them twice a week, and we had a first 100 days to launch our new agents. And, we had a first 15-day boot camp and everything. And Lena and I were talking, and I said, why don't we do what I did for my team for our agents and walk them through what I call the between the lines training. So what do I mean by between the lines? What I mean is you're going to go to your designated broker's forms class, and you're going to learn about forms, right? You're going to go meet with your PC and go to their group sessions, and you're going to learn how to build your business. But do you actually learn how to talk to your client? Do you actually learn how to get a client to waive everything in order to get a home? How do you actually go to an open house and get an appointment every time? Do you actually learn how to write an offer to win in multiple offers, what to say to the agent, what to text, how often? These are the things between the lines that I think are only able to be taught by agents that are in the field. So we're bringing a ton of guests to you. This is going to be, it's probably the most exciting training. I'm really excited about this training. It's going to be every other Thursday. This is our inaugural one. Please, if there is anything you guys do, especially you guys who are 0 to 12 months, commit to this. Put it in your calendar. It is consistently every other Thursday. There's not one break. So you can be assured, you can put it in your calendar every other Thursday. Well, it's really the second and the fourth Thursday, because there might be some fifth Thursday months, but you can put it in your calendar like clockwork. And I would urge you guys to consider this part of your training. By the end of this, it should be filling in everything else you're learning with Ignite and all the other things you're doing, right? So that's how this started, was Lena and I just having a heart of like, we need to fill in the things that don't always get trained. It's almost like an apprenticeship, right? Did I miss anything? Is that a good description?
You hit it. It's really just like you said, it's supplemental to, if you're in coaching, if you're on a team, this is just a supplement to all of that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple housekeeping items, and we'll move on. Hattie, do you want to change your name so they see your name on there? Hattie is my assistant, and she is a phenomenal resource for you. And she's probably going to be quicker to get back to you than I am at times. So she can be reached at hattie@benkinney.com. Put her right there. I can be reached via at benkinney.com. Lena, are you just Lena at benkinney.com? Okay. This is how you can reach any of us, right? So please reach out, let us know. But if you have any questions, or you need a follow up, or you missed something, Hattie's kind of your go-to person. So because what I'm hoping is that you guys in front of us, you're going to be on this journey with us, for the year. I'm hoping that the people here that I'm seeing, you guys are OGs. My second request would be that you guys invite as many people in your market center as possible. If for some reason they haven't been coming in, they haven't seen the Zooms, if there is any training they should go to, it's this, and it's their forms classes with their brokers. I just can't stress it enough, because we can't predict. Your first offer is inevitably going to be at 8:00 on a Friday night, B1 time, your broker and your PC, and everyone else is gone for the evening, right? Like, you have to try to proactively train yourself, because you can have the best leadership team in the world, and you just can't predict when that first offer or second offer or third offer is going to come. And you will kick yourself if you don't put the time in ahead of time to do all this, right? All right. I can see Alicia Brown. Every time Alicia Brown does this and this, I know I'm on track. Like, you might as well say amen. I know. And we'll have Alicia teach one. We're going to have Matt Robb, our West Seattle team leader, teach one. We're going to have a bunch of people come on and teach things. So, all right. Yeah. Sunday night, after viewing a home with offers, due Monday at 11. Yes. Is it Serena or Serene? I just don't want to mispronounce it.
No, it's just Serene. Thanks for asking.
Serene.
But I won.
100%. So. Like, that is 100% when it's going to happen. It's Sunday night at like 9 p.m. or whatever, and it's due the next day. So one of our topics is going to be how I coach my team to win in multiple offers, and I share everything. It's interesting. We were actually going to do that as our next one. We switched it around. As it happens, our next one's actually going to be Open House 101, because we didn't expect open houses to open up this quickly. That's a really, really, really important one for you guys to go to. It's covering all of the basics of how to do it. Okay, so today, Lena, what we're going to do is we're going to go through our really the Be a Group first 100 days of being an agent. We're just going to kind of give an overview, and we're going to focus on the 15-day quick start. If you are an agent who's been doing this a while, use this as a relaunch, right? This can be for anybody. It can be a 15-day reboot, relaunch. You can completely do everything on here if you've done this a day or you've done it 10 years. It doesn't matter. So we're going to go over that today. And then the second half of this, what we're going to do is we're going to role play exactly how I go through a contract with a client. So when I'm writing up an offer today, we're going to do a buyer, because most new agents work with buyers first. The minute I say that, you're all going to go get a listing, which is great. Most newer agents work with more buyers than listings. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over exactly how I go through the purchase and sale agreement on Authentisign before my clients sign. Because you're learning transaction desk, right? You're learning the forms through your brokers. You're learning, your PC coach is teaching you, how to get that first deal and what it looks like. You're learning in Ignite but is anyone actually telling you, like, how do you actually go through that physically with your client? You know, what do you say? And that's what we're going to do today. So we're trying to fill in, like I said, between the lines of everything else you guys are doing. So I've asked Janine Wood, our director of compliance, to step into the spotlight. We'll spotlight her during that so that she can correct me when we get to that point. So the first thing we're going to do, Lena, is we're going to go through the quick start. Anything to add that I missed?
Nope, that's good. Are we going to give a copy of it, or do we take notes?
Yep. So that, by me, I mean Hattie is. So anyone who registered, Hattie is going to send this to. Right, Hattie?
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Siri. That was fun. Does Siri do that to you? Okay. All right. So let's go. You guys ready? Strap on your seatbelt. Let's go. All right. So every new agent that came onto my team, Lena, I would have them do this. And it was a really big deal to do the 15-day quick start, because on my team, you couldn't get leads until you completed it. So all of you new agents, I cannot stress enough how awesome this is, because what happens is you get into this new real estate office and you're super excited about your new career. And you get in and you're like, now what do I do? And you look around, if you physically go in the office and you're like, everybody's really busy and purposeful and I don't really know what I'm doing, right? And you have all these people telling you what to do. Like, what do you actually do for that first 15 days? And if you've been doing this a few months and you haven't really dove in, this is a good time to dive in, right? So you can pretend it's your first 15 days. So our goal is to make your first 15 days feel as much like a job as possible. The more you can train yourself to view this, especially those of you who said, look, I'm going to give up my career and I'm going to go into real estate full time, view it like a job. It is a job. You have a job now. Eventually you're going to transition from a job to running a business, but you have a job. View it just like you viewed your 40-hour-a-week job, right? And that's what I mean, by the way, when we talk about signing up for these classes, for Ignite, for your forms classes with your PCs, you need to view this like a full-time job if you want to make 6 figures in it, So first 15 days, Lena, the goal is that you show up on day one, if you can, with a 200-member database, right? With a 200-member database on day one. It can be on a napkin or a spreadsheet. It doesn't matter, but that will be the goal, to get as close to that as possible. The first 15 days, your goal is to dial through every single one of those contacts. And we're gonna dive into that script in a minute, okay? So it is your one and only time to give that script. Hey, I've made a move. I'm either at a new brokerage or I've started a new career. I'm now, a real estate agent. And we'll talk about the script in a second. This is the biggie. It's bolded and it's starred. This was a huge rite of passage on my team, and it was a big deal. Preview 50 homes. Now, Lena, why do you think I wanted my team members, and why do you think I want all new agents to preview 50 homes?
It's so important, so many reasons, so that they know the market, they start realizing how much homes are worth, so they can go look at a home and say, oh, I can tell that this one's $750 because I've been looking at everything else that's around that same price. They learn, school districts, they learn even features of a home. They just start getting familiar with even how to open a key box, how to get in, logistics like that, looking it up on the MLS, simple things that you don't think about, that if you wait till you have a client, you're scrambling.
100%. So you guys have, if you've heard any of our webinars that we do every Wednesday at noon, or heard me talk or teach, I have a phrase I use a lot, and it's called confidence through competence. Confidence through competence. And what that is have you guys shadowed or overheard any really experienced agent on the phone, and you thought to yourself, man, they sound really good. Like, I wish I sounded like that. Like, I believe them and they're credible. And, I would probably waive my inspection too if I sounded like that on the phone. That is because they have the confidence, because they have the competence, because they trust themselves and they know their stuff, right? So if you're lacking confidence and you're a new agent, one of the best things you can do is get in action and preview a whole bunch of homes. We're going to go into detail on this in a second, but I cannot stress how important this is, and I have a story to cement this in, because I really want to drill this home. We required this of all of our agents, and we paid for very expensive online leads. Might have started with a Z. I'm mad at them today. They bought showing time, so I'm not going to say their name. So we paid for these really expensive leads. So I didn't give them to my agents until they previewed homes. So on day 16, brand new agent, literally had her license. She got her license 2 days before she started with the team, brand new agent. So she got her first Zillow lead, I'll say it, and it was $1 million request for a showing in Kirkland. She had previewed her 50 homes, and one of the days she had been previewing it that previous weekend, she ran into the builder of one of the homes she was previewing. And he started talking to her, told her about, new subdivision that he was building and that it wasn't listed yet, blah, 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 blah. So she met the client out at the home, and they were like, well, this really isn't the right home for us. Thanks, but no thanks. She said, no problem. I do know of some new construction off markets that I learned about that's a little higher price. It's closer to 1.5, but would you be interested in those? They're in framing right now, so we can go see them. They might have even been at drywall stage. I don't remember. So they said, yes, absolutely. And the homes she was showing were in Houghton, and these were east of Market for all you Kirkland people. She drove them out there, and they ended up writing an offer. Her very first Zillow lead, she wrote an offer for $1.5 million because she had previewed 50 homes. So what I want, the seed I want to plant is, how did she sound when she said, I have these other off markets for 1.5. She sounded baller, you guys. She sounded really good when she sounded like a real estate agent that is going to give them access to information who knew her stuff. She had been doing this for 17 days. Right? So previewing homes is one of the best things you can do to give you confidence through competence, right? And I can't stress it enough. It also changes your conversations. It changes your social media game a little bit. Now you go to a Zoom party and someone asks about real estate and you go, oh, I saw that house. I saw that house last weekend, whatever it is, it just changes your conversations. And it's really one of the most important ongoing habits you can have as a new agent. Shadow and help a senior agent doing an open house. Cannot stress this enough right now, especially because I think 2 people open houses are really great right now. So this is a wonderful time to approach seasoned agents in your office and see if you can't help them and assist them in their open houses. It's their leads. They're the ones, but I just want you to observe them in action. I want you to get comfortable talking with consumers and being in houses. There's a lot of good that can do. You should always meet with our preferred lender and title rep to understand, put a face to a name so that you can say, oh, we use BKCO title and escrow. Darren's great. You can have a personal relationship with Darren so that when you get your first deal and your client's in there, Darren says, oh, Serene's great. She's a great agent, right? You want that reinforcement with our team. Same with your loan officer at BKCO Mortgage. Can't stress that enough, you guys. You sound so good when your vendors know you. And it just is so validating. There's no way your clients would think of you as a new agent if your vendors are validating you like that. You want to absolutely put in your schedule to go to your designated brokers weekly classes. I can't stress this enough. It is so important. I don't even know how, Lena, how can we stress how important it is?
Well, so for example, everybody knows when they're in school, you're not learning about the forms. You're not learning about any of the contracts. Yesterday, Janine taught the contracts class and she went over the inspection form. And there was things that I had questions about. You have to go to these classes so that you understand the forms of the contracts that you're writing for your clients. Some of these contracts are 30 pages that you're putting together, and you need to know what it is that you're writing and why you're checking what boxes.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, Janine? She's nodding.
Yes.
Open House 101, good news. That's 2 weeks from today. We changed things around. That's on L3. That is a really important foundational fundamental class. It is everything you need to know, cradle to grave, about having an open house and having a successful one. So that's a really, really important one. I always have my agents, and I highly recommend that you attend either a Trend Graphics class or an InfoSparks class. Learn one system of tracking real estate data. InfoSparks is the data program that comes with our MLS. I'm just old school, and I've been doing trend graphics, Janine. I don't know. We've been doing it for 15 plus years, right? Maybe 17 years. I don't even know. So I think that you need to choose one data source and that you learn and that you know how to work and that you know how to talk about. One of our topics in L3 is going to be how to discuss data with clients. And I guess shameless plug, but second Tuesday of every month, we do our joint network-wide, sales meetings with all 8 offices. And that's all I do. We do awards, and then we go into stats for the month prior. And the reason I do those is to give you guys stuff to talk to your clients about. So I'm just modeling scripts and dialogues and data for you guys to then take and present to your clients. We give you social media graphics you can use. We give you, county-wide statistics. And so just going to that month after month will help you learn the language, and hearing me talk about it, because I've been doing it for 20 years, will also help you guys talk about it too. Lastly, everybody here should attend Ignite. Ignite's been revamped and it's really, really good. I'm really a big fan. All right, Lena, we're going to dive into a little. Oh, my Siri wants me. We're going to dive into a little bit of the details here. These are some definitions, and we're going to send all these to you. These are going to be some definitions that we're going to use moving forward, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page. So, Lena, what's a contact?
Any conversation that you are having with somebody about real estate.
Does it just have to be phone or in person?
No. I'll message somebody, I'll text message, Facebook message. There's not a whole lot of in person right now anyway, so you got to come up with other ways. Yeah. But a conversation.
A nurturer is anyone you talk to that has these 5 things, possibilities. And a nurturer could be someone that wants to buy in 5 years or in 6 months. So a nurturer is anyone you talk to that has some kind of motivation. Maybe they're retiring in 3 years. So they say, hey, I'm not going to sell now, but in 3 years when I retire, I'm going to sell. And then, so they have a time frame, right? They don't have an agent, or they have a willingness to switch agents. You have some reason to believe they could choose you. You have some kind of a follow-up call time set. So if they say, hey, I'm retiring in 3 years, that's when I might sell. What you do is perfect. From time to time, I'm going to check in with you. I'm going to give you a market report. You guys you have access to free Brivity CMA market reports as part of our brokerages. So I'm going to put you on a market report. You're going to get it once a month, so for the next few years, you can get a feel of what's happening in your neighborhood. And then you have their contact information. Sometimes it's 6 months, right? Hey, I have a little rule of thumb, Lena. Can I sneak that in right now? Yeah. Okay, here's my rule of thumb. Whenever you're following up with a lead and they tell you when to follow up, halve it. Put it in half, 50%. Mm-hmm. So they follow up with me in 6 months, 3 months. They follow up with me in a year, follow up with them in 6 months. If they say 2 weeks, a week. You'll thank me. Okay.
And one more thing about the contact. A contact does not count if you just text them and they don't respond. It has to be a conversation.
Yeah. Good call. Thanks. 2-way. Yeah. This is just, and again, we're going to send this out. This is what I, kind of go through with my team. If you guys are kind of struggling with how to form that database, there's some really good hacks on that. First of all, you should just open your phone, and just start going through your phone. That's probably the easiest way. Some people are more, I think, inclined to save names than others. Like my husband does not want to save names on his phone. He has all these numbers. If you call me once, I will save you as person who called me on Thursday regarding listing. Like I save everybody. So, your phone might or might not be good, but yeah, a lot of you guys came from other careers. So think about who you used to work with. Any past clients you've sold houses to, right? Any of the people who referred them. Sports teams, or if you're a soccer dad, soccer mom, I was a music mom. I'm a soccer mom now. I've got 3 kids. So, there's a lot of different parent groups. Schools, church, hobbies, gym. I got really tight knit with a group at Flywheel. I used to do a lot of spin and bar, and there's a whole group of us that got really tight knit, and they got on my database. PTSA for you go-getter parents who are better than me. Nonprofits, all the things, right? Another way to think of it in your head is, okay, who would I ideally send, like a Christmas card to, or like a graduation announcement to? So that's another way to think about it. Preview 50 homes. Now, I want you to focus on this. This is a very big deal on my team. And this is very specific. And I highly recommend this. So you're going to have to adapt this. So Olympia, Bellingham, Snohomish County, you're going to have to adapt this, but please do the spirit of this in your area. And if you're in King County, you should follow this, because really what's important is you're exposing yourself to any type of product that you could potentially get a referral or a lead from. So, you definitely want to go preview a single family home that's occupied. Now we use showing time. So this is a little outdated, although I don't know if we're going to be using showing time. Zillow just bought them. But anyway, now we use showing time, but learn how to use showing time, right? Learn how to schedule time in an occupied home. I think this is tricky during COVID. You might have to modify some of this. This is obviously, we've done this for years pre-COVID. So, use your best judgment on that. I'm just going to go through what I've always trained, right? Go to a vacant home. I want you guys to get comfortable being in a home alone. It kind of feels freaky sometimes. So, you have to, but don't just preview vacant homes. Don't just preview occupied, preview both of them, right? Learn how to preview new construction. I recommend you do not go on a weekend. That's their busy time. I recommend you go during the week, introduce yourself to the site agent and ask them about their registration policy, right? Hey, if I have a client and I want to send them out here, what does your registration policy look like? Learn about them. They will be happy to help you guys. Say, I'm a new agent. Most of them know. Via sent me out. I also think most of you guys, no matter what your market, should try to go to townhome or some kind of a new construction patch. If you're in King County, condo or townhome. Okay, if you are in King County, you have to make yourself go to a downtown Seattle and downtown Bellevue condo. It's super stressful if you're not used to working, like driving there. You don't know where to park. It's really uncomfortable. And I want you to practice before you have a client that says, hey, I want to go see $700,000 condos in downtown Seattle. I want you to say, all right, I know where to park in Escala. I know where to park in Insignia. I actually feel like I've got a good rapport with the concierge at Arbor Place. And so I know where the key box is. Key boxes are sometimes on chain link fences and parking garages. They're sometimes in the concierge's office. Trust me when I tell you, you want to practice this ahead of time, because it is Murphy's Law. You're going to get a lead and you're going to close them and you're going to say, okay, I'll meet you in an hour, and you're going to be a nervous wreck because you're not going to know any of that. Now, if you're not in King County, you don't need to go do that, right? And so I urge you, when you get this, to adapt it for your market, but kind of force yourself to go see a farm, go see rural, go see an equestrian property, whatever the potential product's going to be in your market. That's what you want to go preview. Please be respectful of COVID. If you need to modify that, it may not be able to be 50 right now. I don't want to, do your best on that, right? Anything to add, Lena, on that?
No, you covered it for the properties. I was just messaging in the chat. Some people had questions about the database stuff. So.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's totally fine.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah.
I'm just trying to go through this so we get time.
Yeah.
What I highly recommend, and I actually have, so one of our
I'm not sure I understand.
voice, my Apple Watch is like very sensitive. It keeps responding to me. One of our team leaders, longtime team leader, is now an agent. And we had a little coaching session when she graduated and retired from being a team leader to be a full-time agent. And she did that first of the year. And a lot of you guys in Bellingham know Jen Lampy. And I had a little coaching session with Jen, and I said, Jen, I have one piece of advice for you. And she said, what's that? And I said, well, you've been in a job forever. You've had to, check in at a certain time and put in a certain amount of hours by nature of a job. My advice to you is that you tell your brain that's what you have to keep doing in real estate, that you go physically to an office, again, if it's safe for COVID, but that you physically go to an office, that you make yourself get there at a certain time, since your brain is accustomed to having a job, my advice to you is, especially your first year in real estate, that you keep that going and that you schedule all your trainings in, and then your lead generation in, and you treat this like it's a 40, 50 hour a week job where you have office hours and you're there. And what I recommended to all my agents was the same, that you come to the office, you check in, you do script practice with a partner, you do role play. We used to do a power up at 8:30. You lead gen from 9 to 11 or 12, depending on what we were doing. And then, on the weekends are when you preview and do your appointments, right? So a lot of your database calls, guys, are going to turn into appointments. And here's the thing with that. A lot of those appointments are going to be, and this is pre-COVID, but those are coffees. Like, hey, old friend who I haven't talked to in a while. I'm in real estate now. I would love to pick your brain because I know you guys bought a house last year. Do you have 20 minutes? I'll treat you to a Starbucks. Like, I just want to kind of find out, like, how did you find your agent? What did you look for? What were you happy with? What were you not happy with? And at the end of those informational meetings, it's like, all right, do you know anybody who out of our friend group who's buying or selling? Have you talked to anybody? Would you consider referring me? I know you guys bought with another agent. So these informational meetings are meetings, right? And so a lot of your database calls are going to hopefully lead to that. So in the afternoon, you need to kind of block time to go do all this previewing we're talking about, and then go do some of these meetings.
I actually love how you worded that you asked somebody who just bought a house. Mm-hmm. So you're not harassing them, to be a client, but you're asking for their feedback. And then at the end, the call to action is, do they know anybody looking to buy or sell?
Yeah. And exactly. And you can do that with someone who hasn't bought a house. I could say, Lena, I know you guys are talking about buying a house this year. And I actually, I just want to pick your brain because, I just got into real estate and learn more. And so you come into it with information. That's what I did. I met with a ton of people like that. And I'd say, can you just share with me what your criteria is? How do you choose an agent? And, how did you choose your last agent? Well, I've never bought a house. I'm a first time buyer. Oh, great. What is your plan on choosing your new agent? What are you going to look for? What guidance are you looking for? What areas are you looking in? And it's not salesy at all. It's just, that's what I always did.
Yeah, I like that.
I think we're going to skim this because of time, Lena. But I urge all of you guys to read through this. Our goal on our team was that in the first 30 days, our agents got, I'm not going to lie, it was actually 10 appointments. I scaled it down for this. It was 10 appointments. And the reason I scaled it down is that we did a lot of database copies, but we also did a lot of FSBO previews. And with COVID, and I think that's going to be a little more challenging. So whatever your goal is, I want you guys to treat this like a job and go out there and get appointments. Don't think that an appointment has to be a formal buyer consult or a formal listing presentation. It can be a FSBO preview. Hey, I see that you listed your house for sale by owner. Could I come by and preview that because I might have a buyer? Or could I come by and preview that because I'm going to be holding an open house in the neighborhood this weekend and I want to be aware of off-market properties just in case any buyers come in and this house doesn't work for them? Would that be okay? That's an appointment, guys. I want you to feel really comfortable getting on the phone, talking about real estate and getting out there and getting into houses. Lena, anything? I'm kind of skimming this right now. Anything else
You're good
on that? Okay. So the goal, you want an agreement of some sort first 30 days. You want either at least one buyer brokerage agreement and then one listing agreement, right? I found, Lena, that my agents didn't write their actual first contract that got to mutual until about the third month. The average that they wrote it was somewhere between days 60 and 90, and then it closed during days 90 to 120. Now, that's an average, which means some people came right out of the gate and wrote a deal that got accepted.
Right.
But for the most part, we kind of started with agreements and then it went to mutual acceptances, right? But if you guys do all this, there is no reason that somewhere in that first 100 days, there is absolutely zero reason you shouldn't have at least one mutual in your first 100 days. And I'm serious. And if you're rebooting and you've been doing this 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, I guarantee you, if you go back and do, you're going to have to modify this a little bit, but if you do something like this, I almost guarantee you'll get a mutual, right? Thank you, Chris.
Well, and when you and I were talking about that earlier too, it's a snowball effect. They got their first one within, say 3 months, but then the second one came and then the third one came even quicker.
Yeah, what I've learned in real estate is if you adhere to a schedule like this, I mean, I have years of experience with just this exact one. What I found, guys, is that 0 to 6 months is a grind. It just is. I'm just going to say it. It's a grind, and you have to kind of embrace that grind, and you have to say, look, I'm getting an MBA in real estate right now. You will not make money your first 6 months in real estate. You'll probably lose it if you look at your hourly wage, right? And that's okay. You show me an industry where you can make 6 figures and you don't put in time, and I'm there, right? I'm there. You got to put in your time your first 6 months. And if you adhere to something like this, the magic happened on month 7. I don't know, months 7 through 18, we took the data. Anybody on my team that stayed 18 months or longer, we took the data. Months 7 through 18, the lowest earner netted $111,000 net. 0 to 6 months, forget it. I mean, some of my top performers, my top agent before I kind of dismantled the team made 550,000 GCI on my team. She barely sold a house her first 6 months. So don't get discouraged if that's you. But once she kicked it in the year and started doing this, months 7 through 18, I remember her numbers, it was 136,000 net, which let me just help. That's like 260,000 GCI, 270,000 because I do 50-50 in my team. So, the best thing I can tell you guys is you've got to commit to a long game. Do not let anyone tell you this is going to happen overnight. And don't let anyone tell you that this is going to happen without a lot of work, but it's doable. It is totally doable. And guess what? I even have better news. You can drive Uber. You can do you can do this. If you are really, truly committed, you can do this and have a side hustle too. I think it's harder, but you can do it.
Well, and use the side hustle for clients too. I know people that are driving Uber that are getting clients from customers, Yeah,
for sure. Yep. Well, Michael asked what a good side hustle is. Yeah, I mean, probably the most common is Uber and Lyft. Again, COVID world, I don't even know anymore. Like, I don't even know what that looks like. I do have a comment about side hustles, though. A lot of you guys are servers, and we coming from hospitality, it's a great move to come to real estate. I just want to plant a seed. Everybody on my team who was a server, the challenge is that you're going to find the rhythm of your real estate week is such that most new listings come on the market Thursdays and Fridays. Many offer reviews are then Monday, Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays, right? So there's a rhythm to your week where Thursdays and Fridays, you're coming up with your buyer tours for the weekend. You're doing your open houses on the weekend. So that's a big lead generation for you. You're doing your open houses. You're looking up the new listings on the hot sheets, and you're, Fridays are you're following up with all your leads and you're trying to book all your showings for the weekends, right? You're being proactive in booking those showings. So when do people primarily look at houses? Thursday night, Friday after work, right? Weekends. And the problem is when you're a server in hospitality, when do you typically work? Thursday through Sunday nights or lunch on Saturday, Sunday. So I do think that, it can be challenging to work those prime hours as a new agent. So I've had this talk with agents where I'm like, can you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday lunch shifts? Or even if you're going to do evening shifts, those would be the day. Just think about how the rhythm of your real estate week is going to translate to your serving. And Lena, you were in hospitality. You might have something to add, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make it happen. If you have the drive to do it, you'll make it happen. You do your shifts at the restaurant according to what works best for your real estate career. That's
right. All right. We got to move fast because Janine, will you say something so you pop up?
Hello.
There you go.
Can you see me?
Okay, so I added Janine to the spotlight. So Here's what I'm going to move into next. And thank you for letting us move fast, you guys. Lena, I appreciate you monitoring the chat because I'm just kind of trying to get all the content out in time. So the next thing I want to say, please write this down if you're taking notes, please. And I know Janine's going to say amen. Amen. Please never, ever send a client anything to sign via Authentisign or DocuSign without reviewing it with them first. Please don't ever do that. It is irresponsible, and you're not performing your fiduciary duties. You can never send someone something to sign without going over it first. Now, after the first offer, I don't really go over it like this. So, if we are going through 2 or 3 offers, I don't. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to role play with Lena, literally with a real offer, is exactly what I do. I have done this for 18 years because it used to be in person, Janine. Oh, remember? We used to meet with people. Oh, yeah. But I've done this for so many years, I could do it in my sleep. And it's just how I walk through the purchase and sale agreement. So because I don't want to play your designated broker today, I asked Janine to come on. Janine's our director of compliance. I asked her to come on to just interject and correct me if I am saying something that she doesn't want to train you guys. that she doesn't. We just don't want to train you wrong. So I asked for Janine to come and kind of be my editor, so to speak, right? Because I'm just going to talk. This is a real purchase and sale, and I'm just going to go through. And I want you guys to hear and model this. So here's my request. For the next 15, 20 minutes, I want you guys to forget your real estate agents a minute. I want you to pretend you're buyers. And I want you to pretend that you're first-time buyers. And I want you to listen to this from a buyer's perspective. You have no idea, you've never seen a purchase and sale agreement. I want you to listen and visualize that I'm doing this to you. I'm going to use Lena as my role play partner, but I want you to pretend that I'm doing this for you so that you guys can hear, receive it like a buyer receives it. And then what I'd like you to do is once I go through something, if you have any questions as a buyer, I'd like you to ask. I'd like you to interject and ask. And as long as we don't get too many questions to get too derailed, if we get too derailed, I might have to halt that and have us do them at the end. But I was telling Lena, because she goes, well, what questions should I be prepped to ask? And honestly, I'm so thorough, I rarely have any questions. I hardly have people ask questions. So I'm going to rely on you guys to ask questions if I haven't explained this, right? Oh, yes, this is in person too. For more years than not, I did this in person. It wasn't, on Authentisign. So typically these days I do this on the phone. And what I do is I tee up the Authentisign. It's all filled out and it's been sent to the client. And then I ask them to pull it up on their computer. And I also have it up on mine. Periodically, we'll do it on Zoom. So it's either on Zoom or on the phone. So 70–80% of the time it's on the phone. I don't know why, but it's on the phone. So Lena, we're going to do it on Zoom. We're going to pretend that, you and I are on Zoom. And because this is a real purchase and sale agreement, I had to black out the names. Obviously, they're not going to be blacked out. I actually didn't write this offer. This was written on, this is very recent, and it was written as a bully offer on a listing I had in December. And that's why I want to show it to you, because I want to show you how do we explain a very aggressive offer, which we're having to write right now. So I chose an offer that was super aggressive, right? Okay. You guys ready? Buyers, are you ready? Because you're the buyers right now, right? Right. So Lena, it's really important to me that you know exactly what you're signing. This is a big asset. We're spending $800,000 on this purchase, and I want to make sure you understand every single line that you're signing. So we're going to go through it, and just feel free to ask me if you have any questions. When we're done, you're just going to click the Authentisign buttons, and I'm going to submit it like we talked about. Okay.
Great.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. So you have it pulled up. So Lena, in Washington State, our purchase and sale agreement is 5 pages. And page 1 is where we fill out all of the terms. So pages 2 through 5 are boilerplate language that just talk about all the things that you and I are going to talk about right now, okay? So we're going to spend our time on page 1, and we're not going to spend any time on pages 2 through 5 with one exception, okay? So the first thing is the date. It might feel like a funny place to start, but what I want to share with you is you're seeing today's date. That is actually not the date of what we call mutual acceptance. So Lena, mutual acceptance is when the buyer and the sellers have all signed and initialed everything, and we are at agreement, right? This is simply a date that we refer to refer to the contract, right? So most likely, because it's late at night and because their offer review is tomorrow, most likely mutual acceptance will be tomorrow on December 12th. And the reason that's important is you're going to see some contingencies in here that have days, 10 days, 30 days. Those actually go from the date of mutual acceptance, not from this date. So this is just a marker date to show that this is the contract dated December 11th. Make sense?
Yeah, totally. I didn't know.
Oh. So MLS number is exactly that. It's the number that they use to list this property in the MLS. There's just a reference number there. Offer expiration date, really important. And by the way, I received this offer, I didn't write it, so I have to pretend I'm the buyer's agent. We wrote this offer as a bully offer, so it expires tonight at 9. Janine, that's right. It's 9 still? Or is it midnight now?
Nope, it's midnight. The only time it's ever midnight is if there's no expiration date and you're in that 2-day default window if you leave that blank.
So it is. So with the offer expiration date, is it 9 or midnight then?
9.
That's okay. So I haven't saying it right. I'm old school, and there's been a couple little changes from that 9 and midnight thing. So Lena, our offer expires at 9 tonight. And just as a reminder, they're reviewing offers tomorrow. That's why ours expires tonight. We're putting in a very aggressive offer. And by the way, I think this house was listed at 700 or something. Anyway, maybe it was 6. I don't even remember what it was listed at. So we're putting in a very aggressive offer. And in exchange, we're asking them to review and accept it before they review multiple offers. So that offer expiration date's really important. So Lena, you and Brian are the buyers. I just want to make sure, is everything spelled correctly? Middle initials, middle names, does that look good?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are vesting as a married couple, is that accurate?
Correct.
Perfect. So the reason we write married couple, because some people do ask you this, sometimes it's, unmarried, and they're like, thanks for pointing out to the world I'm single. The reason we do that is for vesting purposes. In title, we are a community property state here in Washington, Lena, and we have to state how you're going to be vesting the property. In fact, I've got a deal right now where it's a spouse buying a separate property. And so, there's different ways you can vest right now. Lena, this is a seller's name. I have verified the spelling. It looks good. It's an estate sale. So, you can see estate here, and that's what that is. Number 4, property. So fun fact, a real estate document is not legal with a mailing address. A mailing address is just a mailing address. It's simply what the Postal Service deems as the address to deliver mail to. A real estate document has to have a legal description. So we reference that in a couple different ways. We reference it with a tax parcel number, and we also attach a official legal description as Exhibit A, which we'll go through in a minute. You're going to see the last deed of the seller on there. So you have to have a tax parcel number and an Exhibit A legal description attached in order for it to be a valid real estate purchase and sale agreement. I bet you didn't know that. Included items. Please be sure we didn't miss anything that we're asking for. We are asking for the stove range. We are asking for the refrigerator. We're asking for the washer dryer and the dishwasher. We're asking for the microwave and the garbage disposal. Is there anything else that we missed? Was there a security system or an attached television that I missed?
Nope, that's right. But can I just add to people watching this to make sure that you reference the MLS and don't just check what you think. I learned this the hard way. So for instance, don't check washer or dryer, even if it's in a picture, if it's not checked on the MLS.
Yeah, the property agent. Yeah. You guys, out of all of the things, line 5, I've gotten in the most hot water on. Either asking or not asking, like window coverings are a big one. I mean, there's so many things. Janine, what else comes up on here?
Window coverings are addressed in the boilerplate, so that's not part of the include items on specific term 5. But just realize, as a listing agent, if there's something checked here that the seller's not intending to stay with the property, you need to remove it. Otherwise, it has to stay. It doesn't matter what the MLS says, just so y'all know.
Yeah. This is a really important one, and it's one really easy to gloss over as a new agent. So, and it's really important to make sure you're going over it just like I did. You know, did I miss anything? Is this what your understanding is? Really important. Put it on them. Okay, Lena, we're going in at $801,000, a bargain. Let's talk about earnest money. We've talked about it before. I just want to reiterate one more time. Earnest money goes towards your down payment, right? And it gets deposited into an escrow company, which is a neutral third party. And the only way you'll get earnest money back is if for some reason we get out of this deal through a contingency. And we're going to talk about that. We don't have really any contingencies on this one that we can probably get out of. So I just want to make sure we have the conversation one more time that your earnest money is at risk, that this is $40,000. It's going to go towards the purchase. I want to make sure we're triple sure that we're comfortable with financing, we're comfortable with the lender. We've had the discussions with the lender. I just want you to be aware. Does that sound good?
Yeah, we're set.
I have good news for you. When you go down to number 8, the worst that can happen is you would lose that earnest money because we checked that box, forfeiture of earnest money. So we will not be forced to go into contract and to actually fulfill this agreement if for some reason you do get cold feet at the end of the day. The worst that can happen, the worst remedy at all is that we would lose the earnest money, right? And let's pretend, guys, let's pretend that this earnest money was $80,000, which is 10% of purchase price. The other good news, Lena, is we have something called statutory safe harbor in Washington State. And really what's only at risk is it 5% to me? Yeah,
Correct.
It's 5% of the purchase price. So even if they wrote an $80,000 earnest money check, they're only at risk $40,000. I don't have to really go into that because $40,000 is 5%. So. All right, let's move on to number 9, Lena. Title insurance company. Title is regulated in Washington State. It's one of the most regulated, industries we have. So almost all title companies in the state are they offer the same thing. So this is just more about what the relationship is there. Closing agent escrow, also very regulated. Our preference is BKCO title and escrow. They're great. And that's why they're there. The reason we have a name there in Hamilton is that we're requesting that our closer handle the transaction. I just want to make sure that you have a good experience.
Because BKCO Title and Escrow is affiliated with our company, Ben's companies, you have to have additional disclosures about this. So you might—
Are they not in our buyer disclosure packet?
They are, but I just want to make sure that that you understand that you have explained that to the client as well, because they don't always read that. So I've gotten pushback from buyers that have called upset about their agents that they didn't really talk about the disclosure of the company.
Great, perfect. Lena, let's go into number 11, closing date. So we have talked to your lender and we're all pretty comfortable that it's going to happen on the 13th. I just want to prep you that this is a 32-day closing. I have seen a lot of delays during COVID. So I just kind of want to prep you that while this is a target date, there is a chance it could be bumped. And I just want to have that conversation now. We aim for that date. We start knowing what the likelihood is of it closing on time as we get closer to closing. It depends how quickly the appraisal comes in and, the final loan approvals come in, if there's any conditions on the loan. So we are very, very good at keeping in touch with you about it. But I want to prep you that closing date that's not carved in granite. We all aim for that great date, but it doesn't always hit it. We are asking for possession on closing because it's a vacant home and we know that, they don't need any extra days. Did you have a question?
No.
No, okay, perfect. Services of closing agent for payment of utilities. We are requesting that. That's pretty standard in our area, Lena, and it's because water is a lienable utility, and it just means that escrow is going to take a little bit of money from the seller, and they're gonna put it in reserves, and they're going to make sure that the seller's water bill doesn't follow you. So we just want to make sure that you're not stuck with a past due bill there. So we're asking escrow to help with that. That's what 22K is. Number 13, charges and assessments levied before but due after closing. People, my people, please do me a favor and pay attention to this one. This is the scariest line, one of the scariest lines on the page, because there is something called a King County, and I don't know if other counties have it, sewer capacity charge that is like $15,000. And if this is clicked prepaid in full by seller at closing, and it's a newer home where they're still paying, they will be required to pay it off at closing and without knowing. And it is one of the scariest pit in your stomach things that can happen. So please learn this, talk to your brokers about line 13, because, oh, Janine, have I had some stressful new agent early days on this one. Whew.
They actually do go into both Pierce and Snohomish County if it physically dumps into King County.
Yeah, it is. Just be careful with this. My people, be careful if you're riding on a condo, because special assessments are also covered. Now that we'd be using a Form 28, but special assessments are also covered on that. Please be careful with this line. Please ask for help if you don't know. Just don't gloss through this line. Because in this case, Lena, we're the buyers and we're asking the seller to prepay any assessments at closing. And we're not the listing agent, so there's really no harm, no foul, but just switching in a minute, if we were the listing agent and we were going through this with our seller, we would want to have that conversation. Mr. Seller, are there any assessments that you have we should be aware of? Guess what, guys? 80% of them won't know they have a sewer capacity charge. And you can know if it's a newer home. And you have to know. I mean, these are very, very important things. So I don't want to get too in the weeds on that, but hopefully that's a teaser to get you guys into form specs.
And really quickly, the rule of thumb is if the home is younger than 15 years. So just to give you a guideline.
Yeah, there you go. So Lena, so what we're doing is we're asking the seller to prepay any assessment at closing. This is an older home. I doubt there are any. Number 14, this is really about the seller, not about us, but you know, I talked to the listing agent and I do know that the seller is not a foreign purpose person for purposes of taxation. You will see later there's a FERPTA form in here where they're just acknowledging that. So that really doesn't have anything to do with us. It's more for the IRS, for the seller. Item 15 is interesting because you probably think of me as your buyer's agent, right? That's probably what you call me to your friends. In actuality, I'm called the selling agent. It's kind of confusing. The person listing the home is called the listing agent. So I'm the selling agent. The person listing the home is the listing agent. I represent you and they represent the seller. So I just want you to be aware as you see terminology that says selling agent, it's actually me, which you might get confused about. So remember when I said the purchase and sale agreement is 5 pages, but it's really thick. You probably got confused. You're like, Via, it's more than 5 pages. That is true. Line 16 lists all the addenda that go with it. That's what takes up all the pages. So we're going to talk about financing, and that's what you're going to sign, a financing addendum, what we call optional clauses, a lead-based paint disclosure, because this is an older property, a utility form that we mentioned earlier that escrow is going to use to handle water, sewer, and some of the other ones. In this case, we're going to release earnest money to the seller, very aggressive move on a 34, and you're going to see we're going to address the inspection. I think they waived it on this one. Any questions on that, Lena? Is that all what you understand?
Yep, looks good to me.
I'm going to move fast.
Really quickly, do not put FERPTA on the addenda line, nor Form 17, nor the legal description.
Okay, yeah, I didn't write this one. I actually received this one. All right, super briefly. So Lena, the first addendum we're gonna go into is financing addendum. Just to reiterate, you're putting 10% down, and that's what's right here, right?
Correct.
Perfect. We didn't waive any. Okay. Perfect. So Lena, here's my explanation on the financing addendum. Financing addenda is the only one that is an active waiver. And so what I mean by that is we're doing a 30-day financing contingency. And the reason we're doing 30 days, I actually don't leave these blank. This agent left it blank, but I would write 30 in here. I just don't like to leave things blank. But if it's blank, it's 30 days. So Lena, we're doing a 30-day financing contingency. Here's what's interesting. You don't automatically waive that finance contingency on day 31. They actually have to send a notice, and there's a whole process in place to actually make you waive that, right? So what it's saying is that you might be asked to waive the financing contingency in 30 days. So, oftentimes I find your financing contingency follows you till closing, right? Even though there might be 10 days here or 20 or 30 days. But we want to watch it and we want to be prepared that on day 30, you are ready to waive financing. And that's my short version of going through this form. Does that make sense? Is that enough for now?
Okay. Yeah.
This form really goes through the procedure and the back and forth and the timeframes on that. And we can spend time on it a little later. Jeanine, I don't know if you approve it, but that's exactly what I say. I do not go into the weeds on that one.
You don't have to. The biggest thing is reminding them to get, if they haven't done their approval, their application. That's the biggest part I would recommend.
I wouldn't recommend getting in the weeds on that. I think it's I think the 22A is the most complicated addendum to explain and understand. And again, ask the broker about it. It's funky. Okay, we're on the 22D, Lena. If it is not checked, it is not a party to this contract. So you can see here some are checked and some aren't. The ones that aren't checked, we don't care about. They're not relevant to this, right? But we are checking number one. I want to say to you personally, I haven't gone and measured the house. Anything I'm representing is to the best of my knowledge. Same with the listing agent, right? So this is just us saying, look, you should measure yourself if you want to make triple sure that the square footage is what it says it is, right? The reason we don't check number two, by the way, title insurance, is we automatically default to what we call homeowners insurance. And the only reason we would check this is if we wanted to downgrade or upgrade that, and we don't, and I don't recommend that we do. A downgrade would be standard owner's insurance, and an upgrade would be extended. So homeowners insurance is what 99% of transactions use, and I recommend it. They never asked me about it, by the way, you guys. I know one of you was thinking, what's the difference? They never ask. 3, we're asking the seller to clean the interiors. I also recommend, if you're a neat freak, that you just schedule a cleaner. It's probably never going to be good enough for you. Number 4, look, we want them to remove their personal property, but they might leave something. And if they do leave something, it's yours, but this is not an invitation for them to leave their trash either. So that's what this line states. Utilities, hey, we're just verifying that we're checking the boxes. You are attached to the public water main. You are attached to the public sewer main, natural gas, and electricity. And so this is just our way of verifying that. Might sound a little obvious, but I have some stories for you. Homeowners Association review, we are requesting documents so that you can review them from the Homeowners Association. And that's it. None of the other stuff applies on this one. Does that make sense? This is I'm going fast, sorry. This is the FERPTA certification. You don't have to sign this as the buyer. We're just including it because the seller has to disclose this, and that's exactly what they're doing. That's a taxation form. This is a lead-based paint disclosure. The seller has stated they have no knowledge of any lead-based paint, and this is your opportunity to have a lead-based paint inspection. We've talked about it. You've told me you don't want to have one. So we're checking the box that you're nodding your head. That's great. We're checking the box that you're waiving that, right? So that's what this is. Identification of utilities. This is a housekeeping form that we give to escrow so that they can handle those utilities like we talked about. Lastly, I would not use this form. I never, ever, no one should be using Form 34s without going to either their team leader, their broker, period, end of story. I didn't write this. We have a release of earnest money form. And if you're a newer agent, you really need to please get counsel from a more senior agent or broker if you're going to talk to your clients about releasing earnest money. With that said, Lena, we're going to release the earnest money to sellers within 3 days of mutual acceptance, like we stated. You're already risking it anyway. We kind of deemed together that because that we're comfortable doing that. So that's what you're going to do. Right? Lastly, Lena, we're waiving inspections. It might seem funny that we have the inspection contingency addenda in here rather. We actually don't have an inspection contingency, but we want to just make sure that we have complete paperwork. So if you scroll way down here, you can see pre-inspection conducted. Oh, sorry, we missed it. Well, it closed. Everything is fine. But they should have checked. They should have checked waiver of inspection, right? Is that true, Janine? Don't you have to check both?
No, you check
one
or
you
the
don't.
other.
Oh, scratch that. You don't have to because they did it. You're right. You're right. So anyway, we're including this form, and we're including this form even though we are waiving it to just state and make sure that it's out there that we are waiving it willingly. Lastly, this is the legal description that you're just going to email. I like to go over this because you're probably wondering what it is. This legal description is what makes this contract legal. And this is, exactly what it is here. It's the last deed is what we typically use. So we're simply initialing that to make sure you're buying the right house. Do you have any questions, anybody, before we go into our breakout rooms? And by the way, guys, it takes that long. What I said to Lena is what I've done for 18 years. I am that thorough. I'm not just doing it for you. I mean it. I mean, you just can't send people things without going over it, in my opinion. Do you have anything to add, Janine, that I missed?
The one thing I recommend is exactly what Via's saying is take that time during your consultation, even before you start showing houses, do a dummy version of it, especially since you can do it via Zoom, and show them everything that's there so nothing is a surprise. And it makes your offer writing as you're doing multiple offers quicker and quicker. You can get one done, if you're a pro, in 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't do it that way. I think there's pros and cons to doing it that way. I find at the buyer consult, they're getting information overload. And I actually, don't love doing it there. I also find that there's never been a time frame I've ever been involved with, very rarely anyway, where an hour makes a difference, Now, to Janine's point, after the first time, I don't do this again. So, I've had clients that write offers on 2 or 3 or 4 houses, and I don't do that every time. I think your advice is great, though. Whatever you guys are comfortable with, you've got to do this.
Yep. Either way.
Okay. Any questions from any of you guys? I can't believe all of you stayed for that. That was probably so boring. What did you guys learn anything? Are you falling asleep? Are people snoring?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens on the day 31 if you write a financial addendum and you don't get the financing?
So that's a super, super great question. If it's okay, do I have your permission to direct you to your broker on that so that we can get into our breakout rooms? Because it's a really great question. And it's one that I think warrants a longer explanation that we have time to give. And I want to kind of make sure that you guys are getting the right training on that, if that's okay. Great question. Is there anything we can answer kind of, relatively quickly? If not, I have an assignment for you. What we're going to do, and this is going to be the format moving forward, is the last bit of L3 liftoff. What do we call it? Liftoff, launch, lunch. Because by the way, you guys, what we're hoping is when we can meet in person, we're hoping that you're all in your own market centers and you're meeting your core group of people who are doing this, and that you're brown bagging lunches or your awesome team leaders are going to buy you Jimmy John's or something. We're hoping that you're meeting in person when that can happen, and that you're watching this on the screen, and then you're going into breakout rooms. I want you to bond together. I want you to go preview 50 homes together. This is the camaraderie that I think makes such a difference when you're a newer agent or a launching agent, right? Or a rebooting agent. So our goal is actually that this is in person. We can't do it in person. So at the end of all of these, while we're on Zoom, we're going to break you out into your market center. I want you to introduce yourself. The first thing is introduce yourself to everybody in your breakout in your market center. Number 2, here, this is for go-getters. I want you guys, please, to get into accountability groups of 2 or 3. And then number 3, you have homework, and you're going to do this with your accountability group. I want you to do exactly what I just did. I want you to role play with each other and go through an entire purchase and sale agreement with your accountability group. And if you don't feel up to it, then you've got some forms classes to go to. Janine and Eric, Lewis, Stephanie, everyone on here, you guys are going to have full forms classes, I hope, this week, because I want you guys to go get the help you need. Your PC coach will help you too, to be able to role play and do exactly what I did. And I want you guys, if you're on the other side of the role play, I want you to ask questions. I want you to push back and say, well, is all of my earnest money at risk? And I want them to have to say statutory safe harbor, right? So I want you to be hard on them. You know why? Your clients are going to ask you. Your clients are going to be hard on you. Get nervous and practice with each other. Don't practice with your clients, guys. So I want you to get into your breakout rooms, introduce yourself to everybody, get into accountability groups. My hope, Lena's hope, what we both want is that you guys commit to coming to every single one of these together, and that you build core groups, and that you guys bond and you kind of go through the trenches together, that you're kind of shoulder to shoulder in this foxhole together, that first year in real estate. That's what we're hoping for. So if those of you guys, and we're going to email it out shortly, If you guys want to do the 15-day boot camp, I would love to invite you to do that. I would encourage you to get in accountability groups with other people who want to do that. If you do, will you do me a favor and email me? Because I want to check up on you. It's a lot, but you're going to thank me for it. And literally, Hattie will get that email out to you in the next hour. It'll be very quick for everybody who registered. So get an accountability, introduce yourself, get into accountability groups. Be sure that your accountability group, you know, if you are those are together who want to do the 15-day boot camp quick start. Number 4, figure out who you're going to do your homework with. I would recommend that you do it with your accountability group. Okay. You have 12 minutes. Okay. Hattie, do you have everything you need? All right. Thanks, guys.